Hey Stitchers, it's your girl Kris. Welcome on into the channel if you're new. Welcome back to the channel if you are an OG. Thank you guys so much for clicking on today's video. You might notice if you have been here before that I am in completely different surroundings. I'm actually halfway around the world at the moment, but a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. The work has to get done and the grind never ever stops. Now today's video, I just wanted to share some information with you guys on an upcoming sewing project. It is going to be a part of the Black Sewing Network's International Day of Sewing service, you guys. This is the very first year that BSN is embarking on this project, and I am mind blown that I was invited to participate. Now, in case you don't know what BSN is, BSN stands for Black Sewing Network, and it is a group spearheaded by Carmen of CAG Reinvented here on YouTube, as well as over on Instagram. And it really is a platform focused on amplifying Black voices in the sewing community. I think the Sewing Network started maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it really is doing some amazing things for Black creatives in the sewing community. Now, Carmen had this brilliant idea of doing an International Day of Sewing service on the 15th of November, and she invited members from different areas to embark on projects really based on sewing. It has to be a sewing project, and there has to be an element of giving back to our physical communities. Now, there are 7 different territories, as it were, participating in the BSN National Day of Service, and let me try and see if I can remember all of them off the top of my head. So obviously we have Philadelphia, because that is where Carmen is from. We have Chicago, Texas, Baltimore, Atlanta, South Florida, and myself from MONTSERRAT. I am the only, I guess, place outside of the United States of America that is participating this year. And with any hope, next year will be even bigger and better. I'm already claiming it that this is going to be an annual thing. So Carmen, if you're watching, start grinding gears to get this in place for next year. I think it is a remarkable idea. Just being able to use our sewing skills in a way that benefits the communities in which we live, in which we work, in which we operate. And hopefully too, by doing that, inspire other people to start sewing. Now, in terms of the projects, each different place has come up with their own projects. Now, I'm not sure what everybody's project is right now, so I won't even attempt to share that with you guys. But if you want to be kept in the loop about all of the upcoming projects and to see how the International Day of Service pans out, then make sure you're following the Black Sewing Network over on Instagram. Now, for MONTSERRAT, I decided I want to teach young girls how to sew. Sewing is almost a non-existent art in MONTSERRAT. We are a very small island in the Caribbean, and yes, there are people who sew on the island. I can think off the top of my head of about maybe about 3 or 4 people who sew as a business on the island. They make things like the school uniforms, the police officers' uniforms, and that kind of thing. But in terms of sewing for fun, there are very few. As a matter of fact, let me be real. I am the only person who I know who sews as a hobby. Now, I did have a friend at once. She was the one who inspired me to start sewing. She used to sew. I don't think she sews anymore. And then there was also another friend of that friend who also used to sew, but I really don't think she sews anymore either. Outside of that, I don't know anybody else on the island who sews as a hobby. Now, when I was going to secondary school, there was a mandatory clothing and textile class for forms 1 and 2, and then it became optional, I think, from 3rd form. But I am told that that is no longer on the school curriculum, you guys. That just goes to show you how much people are just not into sewing for whatever reason. Now, that is a far cry from what it was like back in the day. Both of my grandmothers were seamstresses, you guys. None of their children learned to sew, and none of their grandchildren learned to sew either, except as far as I know, myself. And I'm wondering, how did we end up like this? Sewing used to be an avenue for financing, for sewers to be able to feed their families. It used to be an outlet for creativity, but I don't know, you guys, somewhere along the way, we have lost that. And I'm really, really, really hoping to start reviving that on my island. So to do that, I'm starting off with the brownies. Now, part of the BSN parameters were that we needed to find a group of people. It needed to be a group activity as opposed to a solo activity. And as I said, I don't have any friends that sew. And so I tried to think what groups on island had people who just might be willing to participate, and people who I think I can probably kind of sort of inspire. And so I selected the brownies, which is a small part of the Girl Guiding Association. Now, for those of you over in the States and maybe in other places who don't know what the Girl Guides is, think about it as an organization similar to the Girl Scouts. It is made up of only girls, hence the name Girl Guiding, but the brownies is a subsection of the Girl Guiding group, I think from ages 7 up to 11. So that is going to be my target audience. Now, my daughter is a brownie. She has a brownie cohort at her school, and she has been in the association since she was a rainbow, which are the really, really small ones. And she's now a brownie, and I thought, maybe girls my daughter's age would be open enough to being intrigued about sewing. So I have done up the registration forms and I have sent it off to the brownie leader, and I'm looking for 10 girls to come along and assist me on the 15th of November. And those girls are going to learn the basics about using a machine, and then together we are going to be sewing up pillowcases, which we are then going to donate to a local care home. So my project is twofold. One, I'm teaching girls basics about sewing and hoping to get that enthusiasm up and going. And two, we actually are going to be producing a physical product in the form of the pillowcases that we'll be able to donate to a local elderly home. Now, honestly, you guys, when Carmen first invited me to be part of this initiative, I was a little bit hesitant, only because I know the limitations that come along with living in Montserrat. Sure, we have sun, sure, we have sand, sure, we have sea, sure, we have an active volcano. But what we don't have is a surplus of sewing equipment and sewing supplies. And that meant I knew I had to source all of the things I would need for this project overseas. Starting, of course, with machines. How can I teach young girls how to sew? How can we learn the basics and then produce an actual item if we don't have fundamental sewing equipment and sewing supplies? And so I embarked on a fundraising project on my island and throughout the international community via Instagram, trying to raise 5,000 US dollars, which would help me to get myself some sewing machines, a serger, and some of the other supplies that I would need for this project. At this current time, and we are about 20 days away from the project launch, and I have only made it to 38% of my goal. Now, I understand that things are difficult everywhere, and I really, really, really appreciate everybody who has contributed so far to my project. And I'm going to appeal to those of you watching today's video. If you have any spare change in your couch, your girl will take it. It doesn't have to be a large donation. In the islands, we have a saying, every drop brings down rain. And truly, you guys, anything that you are able to donate to this cause will be really, 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 really helpful. I would have loved nothing better than to be able to do this on my own. Financially, I'm not in a position to buy all of the sewing machines, the sergers, and still all the notions and fabric that I would need to pull this off. I really wish I could have, because I've never, ever, ever liked asking people for money. Even when my daughter brings home a walkathon form, sometimes they have that as a form of fundraising for their school. They get a blank form, you go around, you ask people to donate to the walkathon, and then they sponsor you. So they might give you $5, $10, $20, whatever it is that they have towards you walking whatever the distance is for the walkathon. And every single time she brings home a walkathon form, I fill it out with my name only, or maybe mine and her dad's. And we put whatever we have in our purses and wallets onto this form, and that's what we give her to carry back to school. Going around throughout the community, throughout the island, asking people for donations. I've just never been able to do it, you guys. And so coming forward on the people's internet to ask other people for their hard-earned money has not been easy for me at all, but it has really been necessary, I think, in order for me to A, get this National Day of Service pulled off, and B, hopefully going forward to be able to offer classes at really reduced rates to get young girls up and sewing. Obviously, whatever donations I make towards the Black Sewing Network's National Day of Service, they don't last forever. If you're a sewist, you know, once you use the thread, it's done. You cut the fabric, it's done. Lots of the items are not reusable. Obviously, I can use a sewing machine over and over again, but those require electricity, they need to be serviced, and so on and so forth. So I'm just saying all of that to say that the donations will help, but your girl still has to put in a lot on her end. I just couldn't do it all. So again, if you have any spare change whatsoever and you are enthusiastic about the project that I have in mind and you want to help me to be able to achieve the goal of being a part of the National Day of Service, then I'm going to go ahead and drop my Ko-fi link down below in the description box. As a matter of fact, it's always in the description box, but I hardly ever talk about it. Again, back to the point about having to ask people for donations. It has been there. If anybody has seen it and wanted to donate to my page, I have graciously accepted it. But to keep coming on here and keep talking like donate, that has not been my goal. But again, I'm going to drop it down below in the description box if you are moved towards helping me reach this goal of giving back to my community in a twofold way. One, kickstarting the girls' sewing journey, and two, producing pillowcases to then donate to local care homes. Then give whatever you can, and I will be entirely and eternally indebted to you. Yeah, that is the brunt of today's video. Remember, I said it's not just me. There are 6 other teams up and running behind the scenes, trying to get their projects sorted out as well for the National Day of Service. And if you want any more information, then be sure to go ahead and follow BSN over on Instagram, here on YouTube, and check out their dedicated website, bsn.com. That is all I needed to share with you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you guys so much in advance for donating. But that's it. So until next time, stay calm, stay cool, stay safe, and absolutely keep watching. Peace.